I've had more than a few people over the last 24 hours tell me that they didn't even know this movie was coming out. I don't know if that says more about the marketing for the film or just a general lack of interest. But yes, a fourth Bad Boys film is currently in theaters, and somehow it's not called Bad Boys for Life. They wasted that opportunity on the third film, and I cannot forgive them for that. I mean, it was staring you right there in the face. Anyway, I wasn't a huge fan of the third film, so I went into this one with very low expectations. And you know what? It might have actually helped my experience. Let's discuss.
I watch so you don't have to.
Before I get started, I'd like to kindly ask that you hit the like button, and please subscribe to the channel for more content just like this.
Come on. Do it! Do it!
Bad Boys Ride or Die follows wisecracking Miami cops Mike Lowry and Marcus Burnett, who embark on a dangerous mission to clear their late police captain's name. Okay, so right off the bat, I have to admit that the first two Bad Boys films are very special to me, mostly because they were a family affair. I grew up watching them, and because of that, I love them. And I've often said that they are, in fact, the best thing that Michael Bay has ever done, and I stand by that. The third film, however, really didn't hit for me, so much so that I actually remember talking about how much I missed Michael Bay. Isn't it weird that Michael Bay was kind of the butt of the jokes for many years? But with the abundance of garbage that we get now, it kind of makes you appreciate him a little bit more. To me, he definitely brought something to those first two films, and that something was missing in the third film.
My, how the tables have turned.
For a series of films that was built on the very natural chemistry between the two charismatic leads, the third film felt surprisingly forced to me. The comedy felt unnatural. The chemistry and the comedic timing wasn't quite as crisp. Now, we can chalk that up to old age, I'm not really sure. But it didn't help that that movie also made some very questionable creative decisions. Like giving Mike a backstory that he never really needed that ended up making things feel convoluted. Couple that with the overstuffed cast and them killing off an essential character. It all made it feel like Bad Boys for Life was just one too many films in this franchise. But that film was somewhat successful, so naturally we were going to get a fourth. And I don't know about anyone else, but it seemed like this fourth film did come on pretty quickly and kind of came out of nowhere. I am happy to report that this film does fix some of the problems that were present in the third film, but some issues do persist as well.
We were on the verge of greatness. We were this close.
Right off the bat, I was pleased to see that a majority of the focus was placed back on Marcus and Mike. The young team of cops from the third film was such a cliche to me, and none of them were all that interesting that would justify them taking away screen time from Will Smith and Martin Lawrence. This film very much deals with the age of the two lead characters in ways that I honestly was not expecting. Marcus in particular goes through something pretty early in the film that surprisingly ventures into supernatural territory. And if that sounds random in the middle of a Bad Boys movie, that's because it is. But I do think that even though it's a bit weird how we get there, this situation does help Marcus's character to be a bit more entertaining and off the wall, like we know of him from the past films. As for Mike, his condition in the film, if you want to call it that, does feel very random given his past. I get it, his age is playing a factor, but there's never been any indication that he would have problems like this prior to this film.
What the hell am I looking at? When does this happen in the movie?
The trauma of Captain Howard's death does play a factor, and I appreciated the attempt to tie that in. But I don't know, it still really didn't feel 100% earned to me. As for Captain Howard, I still think it was a mistake to kill his character off in the third film. He's just such a huge part of these movies that his absence is very noticeable. It's almost as if the writers knew that it was a mistake, so they crafted a story this time around where he could still be somewhat involved. So kudos to them for finding a way to make it work, I guess, but when it comes right down to it, I would have rather had a situation where he wasn't written out of the film to begin with.
Did you hear what I said? I heard what I said because I was standing there when I said it.
Mike's son is in this movie, but it does feel like he's in a reduced role. which I think is very intentional. In a lot of ways, I feel like they painted themselves into a corner creatively by even introducing him, but once again, I have to give them credit for at least trying to manage the situation in the best way possible. The villain of the film is played by Eric Dane, and if I'm being honest, he's pretty one-note and forgettable. They do their best to try to tie everything together with events from the past films to make his presence mean a little bit more, but it really didn't help me to feel anything towards his character one way or another. I do think where this film shines is in some of its camera work. It definitely feels like they set out to try some new things creatively with this franchise this time around. We still get our Michael Bay imitation shots, like the 360 scan around the characters. There's one sequence where we get a first-person shooter shot, which does look cool, but it did feel out of place thinking about it now. They also do a lot with drones filming these one-take action sequences. Or at least what looks like one-take action sequences, but either way, it did look pretty cool visually.
I like it a lot.
One thing that I do think was missing from the film was a signature action sequence. I can't really pick one out and say that that's what this movie is going to be remembered for 10 years down the line. As for the comedy, it was one of my biggest gripes about the third film, but this time around, it does feel slightly better. You do still have jokes that feel forced and don't really land, but there were also a handful of moments this time around that did get me to chuckle. I feel like these moments had more to do with nostalgic reasons, so if you aren't a longtime fan, they might not land for you, but there are a handful of comedic callback moments that did work for me personally. Also, shout out to Reggie. If you know who Reggie is, then you will understand.
Who the f*** are you?
I'm Mr. Burnett. I'm Reggie.
But he gets his moment that he's been waiting for since 2003, and I'd be lying to you if I said I didn't enjoy it myself. Also, for those who are interested, Martin Lawrence does get a little bit of retaliation for Chris Rock, so I found that to be pretty funny as well. These movies always worked because of the back and forth between Mike and Marcus. Their relationship, the way they interact with each other, it all helped to get the audience invested in their partnership. They also have these moments from time to time where things get a little bit more heartfelt between them. There's actually one of them in Bad Boys 2 after Marcus's sister is kidnapped. And there was a chance for another moment like that in this film, and they completely let the opportunity pass them by. Instead of allowing things to be serious for a moment and allowing the gravity of the situation to sink in, they instead start with the jokes again, and it really took me out of the moment. Also, the finale of this film really did feel like they were kind of throwing shit at the wall to see what sticks. I mean, Bad Boys has had its over-the-top finales. It's kind of what they do. But this finale is somehow simultaneously over-the-top and also underwhelming and predictable.
This is whack! I can't get jiggy with this shit!
We get everything from giant alligators to way too obvious plot twists. And it all kind of amounts to nothing, and in the end, we are pretty much right back where we started at the beginning of the film. Bottom line, I think the fourth Bad Boys film is slightly better than the third Bad Boys film, but the problems do still persist. In a lot of ways, I was entertained by this film, and I didn't hate myself while watching it, so that is a plus. But it does still feel like some of the magic is missing. It feels like they are constantly trying to live up to those first two films, and they're just never going to be able to do that. That being said, I think if you are a longtime fan of the franchise, there are some crowd-pleasing moments in the film that are probably worth seeing. It's safe to say that this was a highly flawed, but yet still entertaining experience for me, and that's why I think it's more than deserving of the Cathouse.
Saved by kitty litter.
Man, I can't believe I'm here with your dumb ass. You're the one who invited me. We're partners now. No, the f*** we aren't. Listen, I know you have to keep up appearances, but let's be honest. You need me now. Oh, so I need you now. Okay. Yes, without my perspective, everyone would look at you as a grifter incel. I can change your image if you let me. You know what? I'm so sick and tired of this bullshit. What, I'm supposed to apologize because I have standards? I get up and I take it to the max every day. The most honest man on YouTube. So you know what? F*** you, f*** them, and f*** everybody who's got a problem with Real Shift. Whatever, I was just trying to help you. Shut up, Joe. You ain't helping nobody. You're just whining like a bitch. Somebody really needs to Will Smith slap you. Yeah, I f***ing dare you. You know what? I feel like we're really bonding now. Maybe we should seal it with a song. Bad boys, bad boys. Don't do that. I will start this car and drive right into a f***ing tree. Ugh, you are so angry. Yeah, and you're an asshole.
Y'all be cool. Right on.